Hey, hon, you need anything from the fridge?
There is no Dana, only Soul.
Yeah, never mind.
Hey, it's Green Machine Comics.
Friends and fam, fun people?
Yeah, hey, Green Machine friends and fans of fun. I forgot my greeting, but that's okay. I'm operating on like no sleep, and I'm gonna give all my energy to these reviews, and also I'm gonna sit here with my Starbucks and caffeine up. Look, hey, look at me. I'm Daenerys Targaryen.
Tackling fuel.
Tackling few. So okay, let's jump into it. Okay, first book we reviewed this week is the Wonder Twins, and this was really good. Really good showing. It shouldn't surprise anyone right now. This is the same writer that wrote Flintstones and Snagglepuss. Snagglepuss, yeah, Snagglepuss, and which was a really heart wrenching one. Did you read the whole thing?
No, you
Oh,
told me about it though.
God, it hurts. So, anyways, it should be no surprise because this writer here really knows how to tell a story and really knows how to go the unexpected, and it's yeah, it shows in this. So this one is about dating, and it has Zan and Jana. I always get their name. I always want to call them Zana and Jan, because that makes. But Zan and Jana go on a couple of dates, and well, one dates sort of a chauvinist, and the other one dates somebody who is still hung up on their ex, and it goes about as expected. But I like how they wrapped it up. I like how they summed it up. You can. I think I gave you the synopsis off camera, and you said
Yeah.
they're definitely not from Earth.
No,
So-
no. The way that tied up, I was like, yeah, there should be blood. There should be blood.
But it's a really good showing, and again, I can't stress this enough. Every one of these Wonder comics are so good, so just go pick them up. If you see this, it's pretty much guaranteed to be a quality book.
Oh, yeah.
Next is something that I didn't know I wanted in my life. You didn't know you wanted in your life either. Red Sonja, Vampirella, Betty, and Veronica. That's right. Uh, the Archie gals are teaming up with, well, the barbarian and the vampire dominatrix weirdness from the 80s. It's wild. The story is, well, it's not deep writing. You're not going to find like a really deep narrative here. However, it was kind of fun. I had a pretty good time with it. I would say don't read this if you like a little depth to your comics. You're not going to find it here. But this is sort of fun. So there you go. Next is Archie. We need to talk about the soap opera that is Archie. So do you remember what happened last time?
Sabrina was involved?
Yeah, Archie and Sabrina were secretly dating, and they hadn't told anyone. They were keeping that secret, along with the fact that Sabrina's a witch. They were keeping that secret too.
What?
And Archie's exes set him up to be auctioned at the, I guess, the bachelor auction.
Oh.
Yeah,
Is that still a thing?
I guess that's still a thing in Riverdale. I guess. And he didn't know about it, and unfortunately he can't reveal that he's dating Sabrina. So like Cherry Blossom's like, well, what's the big deal? And oh god, this soap opera is so good. God, I love the Archie soap opera. This book is great. I hate to say that as a grown middle-aged man, I'm caught up in the. It says something for the writing that it could even appeal to me.
Yeah.
When this is probably more like towards the tween, but I'm having a good time with it. Okay, and we need to go over the Archie books. So the mainline Archie, really good book. All the Archie horror stuff, really good book, especially if you like a little fun, campy, creepy in your comics. Riverdale, not so good. I read the second one. Just I didn't review it, but I read it sort of to reaffirm that first one was bad, and it sucks. So I gotta tell you, maybe avoid that Riverdale comic so far.
Well, that's the cool thing about Archie comics, man. Like our grandparents are basically reading these comics, man.
Yeah, and
They've got the test of time, you know?
yeah, and if you like the old stuff, you can still get the old stuff. So here's the thing: the Archie comics, we get like two or three, maybe in the store, two or three. But literally, there is like 10 to 20 Archie. Like, there's like Archie Jumbo Digest, Archie.
That 1940s where Archie went to
Yeah,
World War.
yeah, and they do new stuff all the time like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
Popeye needs his spinach.
talk about Wolverine.
Yeah. Should I clarify that?
Yeah, clarify.
Okay. So in the Savage Avengers, hopefully you've read that. If not, this might be a small spoiler. Conan and Wolverine get into a huge fight, and they fall off a mountain into a building with beer kegs. And, like, Conan, like, picks it up and dumps some beer on Wolverine. And Wolverine gets up and he's like, Popeye needs the spinach. So good.
Wolverine is back.
That book was good writing. Really good writing. And what's weird is, like, I'm not totally sold on the art for Savage Avenger. I'm not even reviewing it this week, and here I am talking about it. I'm not totally sold on the art for Savage Avengers. I'm still on the fence because that overly gritty style sometimes doesn't appeal to me. So, and it can go both ways, because, like, Deadly Class appeals to me, and it's way gritty. But, yeah, I don't know. I need one more book to tell you if I'm sold on the art. But the writing, totally sold on. That book has great writing. Next, we're going to talk about a book I was really happy that it was good. And that is Star Wars Age of Rebellion, Boba Fett. And, oh God, this is so good. This is so good for a number of reasons. But, you know, is Boba Fett a good guy?
He's a great guy.
We like him. We love Boba Fett.
I wouldn't call him a good guy.
He's not a good guy, right? He's never a good guy. Like, he's out for himself.
He's a bounty hunter.
Yeah, he's out for the bounty. He's out for the Bounty Hunter Guild. He's out for himself and nothing else. And if you try to paint him up to as a good guy, you will get sorely disappointed. And that's what happens in this book. It's really good writing. This is exactly what I want out of a Boba Fett story. And in fact, I think these are one-shots, aren't they? I'm relatively sure these are all one-shots. And it's sad because, like,
They're part of the series, though, yeah.
like, this one should keep going. Like, whoever is writing this one, it's Greg Pak. Okay, yeah, of course he's a good writer. But at any rate, we should get more of these. I would love it fully if this Boba Fett story continued on for another comic. This is the one they should pick. I liked all the rest of them, but that one's really good. Next is The Batman Who Laughs. And we don't have the variant on hand.
Oh, no.
So the variant this week is very cool looking. It is The Batman Who Laughs, but instead of being like an all-dark Batman outfit, it is a all-white Batman outfit, which looks very Stormtrooper-esque. I really liked it. So, let's talk about this book. Batman is going up against himself, essentially. It's Batman Who Laughs, who is the Dark Universe Batman who was infected by the Joker toxin, and he's trying to poison the whole... Okay, so everything went to crap. Yogi started, like, beating on the counter and eventually smashed his laptop, and it, like, flew off, like, catapulted across. It was insane. What really happened is he barely brushed it and touched the mouse and shut off the recording. So we're going to restart. So, Batman Who Laughs. So, basically, the Batman Who Laughs wants to poison Gotham, infect all of Gotham. And he's got a reason for it, and I gotta be honest, I think it's a very weak and just sort of simplistic Joker-esque reason, which doesn't sit well with me for that character. However, what it has led to is that mainline Bruce Wayne has been infected, so he's just accepted it, and he's gone and made the mask that Batman Who Laughs wears. And there was a reason for it, too, because he can see, like, sort of probabilities of evilness that could occur with certain people and how things could play out in the I guess the dark dimension, sort of. So it's sort of viewing probabilities. And then on top of that, Commissioner Gordon was kidnapped. His son got sent after him because his son knows the waterways the best. And on top of that, there's the other Batman, the Grim Knight, the Batman Punisher. That's what he is. He's Batman Punisher. No doubt, no question. So, how does this play out? Well, I can't really reveal too much without spoiling it, but let's just say I don't know. Should I mention it? The Court of Owls is in play, and it's really fun what happens. So I can't reveal what happens, but let's just say it doesn't work out well for them, and that's hysterical. So, yeah. I like seeing the Court of Owls lose it.
Steve spoiled me on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, get it. Buy it.
It's good. It's
Yes.
good. And it's written by Snyder. And if you don't know, Scott Snyder just had a baby and put that on Twitter, and he's very happy. His baby was born on Free Comic Book Day, yeah, and May the 4th, so it's Star Wars Day too. So yeah, and your baby was almost born on the same day.
My baby is still not born.
Still not born. So Yogi's baby's not here yet. We're anxious about it. We're waiting for her to come into the world. Yes. But anyway, so aside from that, Batman Who Laughs, this is a really good read, and the art is great. And granted, I would like the Batman Who Laughs to have a deeper motive, I guess you could say, a more
Sinister plot.
Bruce Wayne style motive, because he feels more like he should be like a Lex Luthor, intelligent, like just poisoning. But maybe if you read this, there might be a reason that he does things the way he does. Maybe. So that's all I'm going to say. But issue 5, go pick this up. It's great. Next, Batman Detective Comics. Detective Comics. I love the new banner. The new old banner, it feels like.
I see it. I tell you, I just hear that.
It feels like a very old banner that was like relaunched. And I'm sure it probably was. I don't know. Yeah, it looks good. But this centers around the Arkham Knight. I guess a new Arkham Knight, because we've had an Arkham Knight before, right? 'Cause wasn't Jason Todd Arkham Knight, or do I have it mixed up?
I don't know.
But it wasn't this Arkham Knight.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Or no, maybe I'm confusing that with Wingman. It's fine. It's fine. I'm tired. So anyways, Arkham Knight's identity is revealed in this book, and it's not who I expected at all. And keep in mind, I'm not going to spoil it, but even if I spoiled it, you'd probably be scratching your head too. But it's kind of cool. Arkham Knight sort of has captured Damian Wayne, and Damian Wayne fights back, and it goes about as expected. But we get some character points and some building of the character for Arkham Knight, and I rather like that character, I have to be honest. I don't hate this villain, but I can't wait to see how it plays out. So yeah, that's Detective Comics. Detective Comics writing has really improved lately. Tomasi's doing a great job. I think ever since the Hellcat with that whole thing right before Detective Comics, not the Hellbat suit, the Hellcat. I'm so tired. The Hellbat suit. Ever since that issue, I've been having a much better time with Detective Comics. So yeah, go pick it up. It wasn't even the Hellbat suit though. It was the Hellbat VR suit. That's what it was.
Yeah, that whole thing was in a computer.
Mm-hmm. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper and Heavy. Sorry, I'm very clearly tired. Okay, this is Conan the Barbarian number 6. Well, let's be honest. If you know what to expect from Conan, you know what to expect from this. And we've had a talk about this. Do you remember what happened in the first issue? It revealed that there was a blood god in play, because there's always got to be a blood god in play in Conan. It seems like that's just the recurring theme. And we were waiting for the blood god to be summoned. We were waiting for something to happen. And every issue, it was like, hey, this happened to Conan in the past. He had a brush with these people, but didn't build on what was going on in the present. And we are 6 issues deep. That's 6 months worth of comics. And no, it still hasn't happened. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with his writing. Did Jason Aaron just decide he was going to drag this out for a while while he was working on other I don't know what's going on. It's not very exciting. I mean, granted, I do think that Conan's past adventures are really cool and stuff, but if you introduce these characters and you introduce this blood god, this big wickedness, you shouldn't stall it out, I don't think, for 6 books. 6 months is a bit long when you've introduced that. But I want to see the fight. Maybe the fight is anticlimactic. Maybe it's all this building for a joke ending. I don't know. But, Conan's sort of good for that sort of abrupt stuff. So anyways, well, if you've been reading Conan the Barbarian, you know what to expect. And it's not to say it's bad. It's very Conan-ish, but it's not... They're not building on anything yet. It's just sort of like flashbacks. It's nothing that affects the present. So I'm not really invested in the story that much anymore. It's sad because this was the strongest of the Conan books, and this week it is not. So this is if you like Conan, go pick this up. If you're anyone else, maybe wait, because that's not the book to start on. Or I don't know, maybe start. Nothing's happening. So there you go. Next is Supergirl, and hadn't reviewed Supergirl in a while, had I?
No.
It's been a while. And you know what? This was a pretty good showing. So she sort of gotten to the bottom of who to blame for blowing up Krypton, and ultimately it was the guy who's been running around with her, the green skin guy who was her boyfriend. I can't remember his name. Well, it's his mom.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's gonna make for an awkward Thanksgiving. But nonetheless, the big fight is happening in this one, and she's still got the axe of. Was it the axe of Krypton? It's like but it's like a rage axe. It's like getting very close to like Red Lantern status when she wields it. That giant axe, yeah. I can't remember it.
Like 6 months ago.
It looks so cool though.
Yeah.
Like, who knew that I wanted to see Supergirl with an axe? That's dope. Anyways, I would say this is a pretty good showing, and as somebody who is, I mean, how long has that storyline been going? It's been going for a long time, right? So it's been going for a long time. However, I was a little bored with it a few months back. This one was a good showing. I had a really good time with this book. And yeah, I don't know. I would say go pick this up. And I think this is a good jumping off point. I wasn't terribly confused having missed a few books. Yeah.
See, it's just price there. It has nothing to do with the price.
It does not have to do. I don't think so. I mean, who knows? Maybe mentioning the price on the cover ties in somehow.
Oh.
It is the year of the villains.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to go
and
to.
we know that every hero from that price, the price event, every hero is technically a ticking time bomb.
Because I'm still not fully wrapped up on Wally, man.
Whoa, we need to just dial it back on Heroes in Crisis. Heroes in Crisis theories. We need to dial that back. Because everybody, I don't know, should we talk about them? Should we talk about them? It's been a couple weeks. It's been a couple weeks, but okay, we'll wait. We'll wait. We'll wait. We're not going to talk about Heroes of Crisis theories. We have some theories, and I think there's some good theories, so we're going to have to wait and see for issue 9. Next, we're going to talk about Samurai Jack Lost World issue number 1. I was hyped about this because I watched a lot of Samurai Jack when I was younger. I don't want to say kid because we were like in the 90s. Yeah, it was in the 90s.
Don't break my feelings right now.
Well, I love Samurai Jack, and I had a pretty good time with this. It wasn't the best showing for an issue 1. Like, I expected a little bit of a stronger showing. However, for a comic, it was fun. And for a Samurai Jack story, I was not bored. So it centers around a town that sort of worships Samurai Jack, and he sort of strolls into town every day, and you know, he gives them peace and everything else like that, and he talks about his ways, and everyone emulates him, and the real Samurai Jack stumbles across it and discovers it's an imposter, and there's a reason for it. And so he goes from there. And so it plays out like a Samurai Jack cartoon, kind of.
Okay. Which is...
Yeah.
I wouldn't pick it up.
I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay. Granted, I want a big bad. What was that guy's name? Aku?
Oh, yeah.
His name was like Aku. It was like, Aku! I think that was his name.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I can still see that face, that lizard-like sort of weird. Yeah. But, yeah, I would like a big bad. So I would like a big bad, and I would like a longer storyline, because I'm sorry, while I do love the cartoons, you're in a comic book form now, so we can get an arc. And it's your first showing. Why not give us an arc? Why just give us an episode? Just saying. It does work for Zim, though. Next is a book I was super excited to review, and that is The New Agents of Atlas, and this is in the War of the Realm story. We're previewing 3 new heroes. I believe the 3 new heroes, one of them is from the Philippines, one of them is from Shanghai, and one of them is from mainland China. I don't know where in China. I think he's Cantonese is what it is. Do they all appear in this issue? No. A couple of them do. So you do get a first appearance in this. On top of that, it's a number 1. So collectors, this is probably something you're going to want to go pick up. And no guarantee that these heroes are going to be a big deal, but I had a pretty good time with it. And I think these heroes are very anime-esque.
Okay.
Anime-esque? Is that a word? Maybe. But if you know the way fandom is going these days, anime and manga are exploding in popularity, so it makes sense that Marvel would introduce characters like this. And I had a great time with them. I think they're even drawn sort of anime, like that Swordmaster character is very clearly anime inspired.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
that now.
yeah. But at any rate, so New Agents of Atlas had a really good time. I think it's a good showing. I wouldn't say it's the best #1, but it was pretty fun. And the ending was, I mean, I love the ending.
Okay.
Let's just say it's sort of, well, some of the gods of the 9 realms are going to be on, or is it 10 realms? Does Midgard count the 10 realms?
Well, technically
10 realms. So some of the gods on that realm are going to be in a collision course with a Polynesian god. And that's all I'm going to say. It was pretty fun. I thought it was cool the way they did that.
All right.
Needs more of my spinach. Okay. Next is Justice League Odyssey. And this is, so the Justice League Odyssey team is not technically a Justice League team. They sort of came together at the Ghost Sector and then got trapped at the Ghost Sector and then found out that they were being worshipped in the Ghost Sector and that people thought they were gods.
Statues.
And that all of this had been instrumented by Darkseid, which is never a good thing. And that he was trying to bring Apocalypse into the Ghost Sector, and, well, yeah. The story's really, really deep and convoluted at this point, which is weird. There's been so many twists in 9 issues. So many wild, wild twists. How...
It's a 12-issue miniseries, or what is that? No.
No, I think this is just an ongoing. I don't know. I'm having a good time with it, but I think if I had to jump in at this point, I might be a little confused because a lot has happened. That's not to say it's a bad book. One of the things I like seeing is, well, I always like seeing Asbats and stuff. Whenever you put Asbats, however you want to pronounce it, Azrael, into something, and in this one you give him this dope, very 90s-esque Iron Man style Batman suit. I forget what is there a reasoning for this design? I don't know. It looks very Hellbat-esque. Anyway, so I like Azrael's new spacesuit. It's cool. But yeah. So, anyways, I think it's a good showing. I think Justice League Odyssey, I'm still having a pretty good time with it. However, I'm not sure this is the best jumping off point. I wasn't terribly confused, but I've read a lot of these. So if I had to jump in here, I might be like, what the heck is happening? So maybe wait a couple issues. We just know that Darkseid is coming. That's all we know. Somehow he's going to link up with them eventually. Yeah. Next is a book I had no idea was going to be this good. None whatsoever. It's an Image #1. It's an Image Skybound. It's the Skybound imprint. And that is Excellence. And on the back, I know this word says excellence, but I don't know what this says here. I'd like to decipher whatever their code is on the back. I don't know, but the book is called Excellence, and it centers around, well, a couple of brothers who've sort of grown up in a magic user family, in a magic user guild, in a magic user sort of. Like, I haven't figured out necessarily if it's a secret society of magic users, or if it's an alternate reality of magic users, or if this is a normal for the world. Like, haven't come to that conclusion yet. However, what happens is one of them is being tested, and his test includes going to, I think a crowded city and trying to get 2 people to fall in love. Or basically, a guy's going to ask a question, and he can't build up the nerve, and so he's got to sort of force that hand and get him to ask that question. And there's a reason for it, but what this teaches you, what goes on in this book that I liked is they all have wands and they have to use the wands. They're supposed to use the wands as wizards, but the main character sort of learns that there are times where the rules are important and there are other times where the rules are meant to be broken. And I think that's a pretty good lesson sometimes in life, oftentimes in life. And not enough people get that lesson. So that's demonstrated in this book. And this book was a really fun read, a really good read. The art was amazing. The story was amazing. At times they were running up like the sides of buildings, like lined up. And the wizards like looked how I imagine wizards doing things. Like I don't imagine wizards just sort of floating in place and moving slowly and hiding behind the lines and stuff like that. Like I think if real magic existed, it would be an active thing. Like people would be running, jumping, throwing spells, screaming, and that's what I got out of this book. It was great, a really good showing. So excellence number 1, I say go pick this up. Absolutely go pick this up. Sub to it if you can. And honestly, I'm looking forward to excellence number 2. I can't wait to get it. The art is amazing. The story is amazing. I want to know more about this world. It's a good showing. So, okay. Oh, one thing. I noticed one thing we have out here. If you came to our store for Free Comic Book Day and you lost your coin purse, I think it has carved into it AASHIL. So, and this side says Ecuador. You have some money in here. We haven't taken your money, and we won't like get rid of your coin purse. But if you happen to see this video and know you left your coin purse here, come pick it up. It'll be at the counter. Next is The Flash Year 1, and oh my God, I was so excited to see another Year 1. We've got one more Year 1 coming out this year, right? It's the Superman one, but it's Black Label.
Yes.
So we have no idea what to expect from that. I don't know why a Superman title would be Black Label. Like that's weird, especially for Year 1. It doesn't really sort of fit soup. So I don't know. DC knows something I don't know. But The Flash Year 1, is this book good? It's great. Really, really good. This is a good showing. This is everything I wanted out of a Flash Year 1 in one issue. Granted, there's a lot of room to build, but you know, it starts out, it's the normal sort of Flash origin story. You know what happens? He's working in the lab, gets struck by lightning, gets chemicals or mixed with chemicals, and then, you know, goes into a coma, wakes up, and he's the Flash. Like, unless, you know, we're talking about Flashpoint where he gets struck by lightning and just hideously burned the first time, which was funny. But anyway, so this is Flash Year 1. If you can't tell from the cover, he goes through a lot of shoes, and yeah, so that's a running motif for this. I had a running, I wouldn't say it's a running gag. Yeah. So it's a good showing. Granted, if you know The Flash, you know how the story starts, so you might be bored with it. It might be trivial, but the Year 1 stuff, like almost all of the Year 1 stuff, I've had a good time with. I think the Green Arrow Year 1 is like an excellent showing. This one is too, so far. It's just one issue, but I'm really looking forward to this. So go pick this up. We have a few copies, not too terribly many. So if you really want the Flash Year 1, come get this. It's great. Next is, oh man, Savage Sword of Conan. Now, if you can't tell, this is the old style of the Conan books is what it looks like. And that sold me alone on this book. But then I had a really good time with this book. So let's discuss this. When Conan isn't dealing with blood gods, what's the other thing he winds up dealing with that he hates? Wizards! Yeah! It's either dark magic or blood gods. Those are the two things that he runs into that he can't stand. Ever. Like, he never gets a break. He's never just like, well, I wound up in this dungeon, but, you know, there's a bar here. Like, hang out, drink some beers. Like, that never happens to Conan. He's never that lucky. So, dealing with dark magic, and he navigates it in a very Conan way. I don't want to spoil it, but there is a really hard laugh out loud moment in this book where somebody tries to lay a curse on Conan and it does not go as planned. So Savage Sword of Conan book 5 is a really, really good showing. It's the opposite of Conan the Barbarian this week. Well, I wouldn't say it's the opposite because I didn't have a bad time with Conan the Barbarian. It's just not building anything. Savage Sword of Conan, go figure. It's written by Jerry Duggan. I will never pronounce names right. It's not going to happen. It doesn't matter how many times I've heard it. I'm going to get it wrong. And let me tell you, by that effect, Yogi is worse at that than I am.
Oh, no.
Way worse.
I can pronounce, I just can't remember.
Oh, you can't remember names, yeah.
I can pronounce.
So, this is going to make one of our regular customers very happy. He's been asking for Sonic for like 3 weeks, and I'm so happy to be able to tell him he's got Sonic tomorrow. But here we go, Sonic the Hedgehog. This is issue 16. I hadn't read a Sonic the Hedgehog in a long time, but he's been really popular in our store lately. Yeah.
I guess the IDW changeover was like a big deal.
Yeah, the changeover was huge, and I don't know. We've had a lot of requests. It's flown off the shelves every time we put it on the shelves, which is weird because that trailer was garbage. Let me talk about that Sonic trailer. Hey, hang on a minute. Can I vent? Can I vent?
Go.
I'm gonna vent about that Sonic trailer. Okay, that Sonic trailer. First of all, I have a fear of rats and mice and rodents in general, and that hedgehog does not look like a hedgehog. That hedgehog in the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer looks like a rat, a drowned rat. That's disgusting. On top of that, that writing is horrible writing. And granted, I mean, I've got 2 books out, but I wouldn't say that I'm Tolstoy by any means, but I could write a better movie than that. The God's honest truth. That writing is terrible. Cat jokes, basic jokes. What was calling people basic a thing? That was like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow, were you out of touch? Okay, and then let's talk about Jim Carrey. Okay, I'm not going to criticize Jim Carrey for a lot of things I could criticize Jim Carrey for. However, that's not Robotnik. That's Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey with a mustache. And granted, I mean, he looks pretty cool with that mustache. I will agree, he looks pretty cool. But that's just Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey. Who cares? So, okay. And on top of that, like, I don't know, they show him moving so fast that a bunch of missiles don't affect him at the beginning of that. Do you remember that part?
Oh, no.
There's like a bunch of missiles and he's like frozen in place, and he's like, oh man, I made like 1,000 steps today, and the missiles are still frozen in place, and he's like drumming on the missiles and stuff like that. It's like, if you show that in the trailer that he can do that, guess what? You've already ruined the movie. Like, there's no limit on that character's power right then. You've given something away that's gigantic. Who cares? So, okay, Hollywood, I don't know who pitched that idea, but it's trash, and it was implemented like trash. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, I'm done. Did I say that's all I'm going to say? Like, I didn't just say this giant mouthful?
That's okay.
I'm sorry. I'm mad at Hollywood for that. Okay, next is Batman and the Outsiders. And I was so looking forward to this book. I remember we talked about it. It got delayed. I was on the hype train for this, and I read it, and it's great. You thought I was going to say something else, huh? No, it's so good. Okay, first of all, so I'm a little bit of a fanboy. Obviously, I'm a little bit of a DC fanboy, but most folks know that I'm a giant Batman fanboy. Most folks do not know that I'm a huge Duke Thomas fanboy, and that comes from like the We Are Robin stuff and other books that he was in, and what was the other Batman? All-Star Batman? Yeah, so I like Duke Thomas a lot, and granted, him as the Signal, he's dope as the Signal, and that costume's amazing. I'm a huge Orphan fan because I like the Bat Family team that Batman put together for Detective Comics. And then Katana, I've never really been a big Katana fan. I'm not gonna lie, like she's never been my jam. But this team is really cool, and the energy it has and the way it plays off. So basically, Batman gives this team, he designs this team and gives it over to Black Lightning, and he's like, "You're the leader." And Black Lightning's like, "Whoa, what are you gonna do, man?" And so Batman sort of gives them tasks and then disappears because, you know, it's Batman. He's Batman. But it was nice to see. And on top of that, like Duke Thomas, if you don't know from We Are Robin and from the beginning of the Detective Comics run, Duke Thomas has respect for Batman as a leader. And that's about it. He does not like taking orders from other people. And in fact, in We Are Robin, he didn't even want to take orders from Batman. The whole premise of that story was that Robins don't necessarily need a Batman to be who they are. And so, you know, Duke Thomas has an issue with authority, and so that sort of puts him at odds with Black Lightning. And it's nice to see. Like, there's some good, I would say some good flaws, but that leads to good chemistry. So I'm having a good time with this story so far. Granted, it's only one issue, but I would say go out and buy this issue because it's a pretty good showing. Next is Gunning for Hits. I have to gather my thoughts on this. Really have to gather my thoughts on this. So, it kind of pains me to say this because I thought the first couple books were a really strong showing, but this story's getting weird. It's pretty weird.
That intro was pretty dark.
Yeah, yeah. So it follows a hitman who's basically also a former hitman, I guess, who's also working for a record company. And, you know, it's starting to feel like it's just sort of edgelording at this point. Like, I don't want to say what happens at the end of this, but it involves his hero releasing a bad record and what has to happen after that. And it's taking on a weird turn. And it's not... I mean, we knew it was sort of a dark story from the beginning, but it's getting really dark. And it's almost to the point where I'm like, I'm not identifying with these main characters anymore. I'm not as intrigued into the story as I once was. So, issue 5, Gunning for Hits, so-so. Such a strong showing at the beginning, but yeah. So, I would say if you're reading Gunning for Hits, keep reading it. You probably want to know what the story, how it's going to come out. And plus, the art is pretty good. But the writing's sort of weird right now. It's in a weird place. So, I don't know where it's going to go from there. We'll have to wait and see.
They all can't be instant classics, right?
No, you can't. Not all of them can hit a home run, I guess. However, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which in my opinion was one of the weaker Spider-Man comics on the shelf. I thought it was. I wasn't having the best time with it for the first few issues. But, yeah, issue 6 involves a character called Spider-Bite, who looks exactly like Spider-Man. And maybe there's a reason for that. But what I'm going to tell you is this story went away I never expected it to go. And it was a little surprising, but it was also really heartwarming. In fact, it was the most heartwarming book I read this week, maybe this month. I had a really good time with this book. On top of that, I mean, it doesn't really add to a storyline here, and there's not an arc here, but it was super touching. And I would say for that reason alone, go pick this book up. I want to believe that this book is going to be a classic story eventually, or is going to be referenced for some reason. But it's just really beautiful showing. And on top of that, I think the writer Taylor, it tells wonders that a writer like this knows how to pull at those sort of heartstrings. And what they did was I mean, it was touching. It was sweet. It was kind of beautiful. And I can't. It's so weird. I want to talk about the plot, but I can't, because if I mention even the slightest thing, I'm going to spoil the plot. But I think everyone should go out and read this book.
Like an adventure? Was there some humor involved?
Oh, it was an adventure. There was humor involved, but it got really touching. Things were not as they seemed, I guess you could say.
All right.
Yeah. So, next we're going to talk about Red Hood. I keep wanting to say Red Hood and the Outlaws.
I do that too.
I want to say it's so bad because I miss Artemis and Bizarro. However, we're doing Red Hood Outlaw, and, you know, he's off the chain. He's got new friends, and his new friends are old foes, and, you know, I don't think it's a totally healthy way to do the things. Jason Todd, I think you're not being healthy. However, he's not the healthiest of souls. He's been dealing with a lot. Arsenal died. His friends Artemis and Bizarro got sucked into a portal. Got kicked out of Gotham. Got into a fight with his old dad. You know, Batman. So, he's kind of been off the chain. He's taken over Penguin's casino. And meanwhile, Penguin is trapped in a safe room and peering out through the fish tank, but it's like double pane glass, so nobody knows he's there. And he made it soundproof. And each issue, he's like beating on the thing. He's like, "Wow, why did I make this soundproof?" It's like, why did he make it soundproof? It's a safe room. He's not supposed to be holding people in there. That was stupid of you, Penguin. You're a dummy. Maybe he just didn't want to get caught if he was in the safe room. I guess it makes sense. Maybe it makes sense. Okay, well, at any rate, yeah, I don't know. This is the continuing adventures. It finds Red Hood in Paris, and he's going up against the Euro Bloc. I think that's what they're called, the Euro Bloc, the basic big villains. Yeah, the Euro Bloc. The big villains of Europe, of which Penguin was laundering their money. Yeah. So they want to know what's going on with the casino and what's going on with his money. And Red Hood does not give a crap about you or the games you play. So that comes into play here. And there's not enough action. That's my complaint. There's not enough action. There's a little action, but it's not enough. It's not how I want a Red Hood comic. But then again, how I want a Red Hood comic is usually how I want a Punisher comic. They're very similar. But I don't know. I can get the soap opera of Red Hood. I'm okay with that. When Artemis and Bizarro are in play, when the Dark Trinity is in play, I'm okay with that sort of thing. But when they're not in play, I just want a ton of action. So, but there's a good sign. The Red Hood Annual is coming, and supposedly it's going to explain where Artemis and Bizarro have been, and maybe it brings them back. I'm hoping the Dark Trinity comes back in play. I don't know. Next book of this week is Age of Conan Belit. Belit is the pirate princess who becomes pirate queen. Oh, was it Aliens?
Yeah.
We'll do Aliens next. I guess I got mixed up.
It's okay. Sorry, man.
So Age of Conan Belit, this is the pirate princess that becomes pirate queen, and eventually she falls in love with Conan. We know this. Like, it was mentioned in... No, it was mentioned in... well, I mean, it's happened before, but it was mentioned in... God, what was the Avengers... No Road Home. No Road Home. They pulled Conan into the main universe. But... yeah, so she's sort of doing her thing and becoming famous as a pirate, and she's brutal. At times, I would say she's more brutal than Conan. Like, she's gnarly brutal, which of course he would fall in love with something like that, somebody like that. Yeah, right. So it's her further adventures, how she eventually becomes captain. Right now, she's sort of like showing up her captain, which puts her at odds with her captain, and that never works out well. No. And in this universe, when you do that to your leadership, eventually you kill them. In our universe, when you do that to your leadership, you get your butt kicked.
Pretty much.
That's the army universe. Anyways, but Age of Conan Belit is a really good showing. It's a really, really good showing. And I don't know, I remember the first cover showed her in a very scandalous outfit, and I thought, like, oh God, here we go. It's just going to be like running around with tight outfits the whole time. It's not. They've clothed her in rather tactical clothing. She's very pirate-ish. It just feels like a really fun adventure. I've had a great time with this. So if you like fantasy, if you like pirates, which I do because I'm a Sea of Thieves addict, then you will love Belit. Next is Aliens Resistance. Got it?
Thank you.
I got your Aliens Resistance.
Got my aliens.
This follows later on when... God, I can't remember. What's the name of the corporation?
Oh, Wayland Yutani.
Yeah, it's Ripley's kid.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Amanda.
And the corporation has been sort of having people colonize other planets and offering them deals to colonize other planets, but instead they've been using that to breed aliens. Yeah, that's not a happy thing. Yeah, to further their weapon sales goals. Yeah. So that follows them. And basically in this story, they're trying to rescue a kid from a colony planet that is infested with aliens. And, he's obviously got some PTSD going on. And it goes from there. So I can't spoil it. It's a very sort of typical alien showing, and that, eventually aliens attack and things turn sour, and it goes from there. So Aliens Resistance, it's a pretty good show. Yeah, it's formulaic. That's my problem with the alien stories, is they usually are pretty formulaic. Like, I want something new.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about them is, like, as you keep reading these stories, they add one extra thing to it. And that one extra thing ends up turning into something else.
Yeah. But you remember the original Aliens movie? Not Alien, because there was the Alien movie, but Aliens, where, they got in that engineering suit, and you were like, whoa! And that was awesome. And then when the Matrix tried to do it, you were like, whoa, I have seen this before. This is not impressive to me.
They did that in Aliens Red Blue too. They had the power loader. They souped them up too. They had like these really dope power loaders.
Yeah.
Never gonna see them again.
Yeah.
They retconned that whole history.
Yeah, but I want something new. I would like something new. So it's formulaic. That's my problem with it. So it's not to say it's bad. It's pretty good if you like aliens. And granted, we have some giant aliens fans in this store.
Yeah.
You'll probably have a good time with this.
See, for me, I like this because they're actually standing up now. They're fighting back against the Weyland-Yutani Corps, which is, let's be honest here, next to Walmart in that universe.
Oh, it's the Walmart. Oh.
No, I think they referenced Walmart in the last actual Alien movie that they made.
I don't think it's Walmart. I think the giant corporation that is suffocating and destroying everything in that universe
It's Weyland-Yutani.
is Amazon.
So yeah, they said one of the corporations to survive that farther out it was Walmart.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Next, we're going to talk about Shazam number 5, and obviously it involves the game lands. There is also that other land, the kids' lands, I guess it was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was it called that? It was called like
6 lands there, right?
yeah, it was like
It's
Party
like
Land or
Playland,
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Can't remember the names.
It's been a long time since I've read anything involving the Rock of Eternity, but so let's see. They're hanging out in game lands in this one, and a familiar foe has reappeared, and that foe is Black Adam. He reappeared at the end of the last issue, and so Black Adam is legitimately one of my favorite villains of DC. I would say he's villains, but I've seen him do good things too.
He's good for his people.
There
He's
is
like Dr. Doom.
there is a comic where there is a suicide bomber in a crowd near Kandahar, I think it is, and I think it was near Kandahar. Maybe it was in Kandahar. Anyways, so there's a suicide bomber in the crowd in one of the DC comics, and Black Adam like legitimately rips his arm off and throws him into orbit with the bomb, or throws the bomb in his arm into orbit, something like that.
Nice.
And it was like I read it and was like, "What did I just read? Like, oh my god!" And he was like, "Don't do that to my people." And ever since then, I've loved Black Adam. Like, I like him as a character. And granted, he's one of those villains that's fun to like, I think.
I think that's why they picked The Rock to play him, because
Yeah.
even as a bad guy, you're kind of still rooting for The Rock.
Yeah. Scorpion King was just like, even the Mummy. You were like, because that's where he came
that's
from.
where he started, yeah.
Yeah, you were like, go Rock, go.
Yeah.
I like Brendan Fraser. He's a nice guy. Punch him in the face.
Dwayne.
But okay, so Shazam and Black Adam's in play. It's still a pretty good read. In fact, I would say that this one's a stronger read than the last couple. Because the last couple was sort of like they were spelling out the story, but there wasn't a lot of action. There's a good amount of action in this book, and I'm having a good time. So if you like the Shazam movie, you know who you are. You're probably going to jump in on this. It's a pretty good read. Next, we're going to talk about War of the Realms, Journey into Mystery. And we know what's coming, right?
Uh-huh.
So this is the Adventures in Babysitting, where it's Miles Morales, Kate Bishop, and a few other characters that I'm not as familiar with. And they're babysitting a baby from one of the other realms. Meanwhile, we know the McCoys. Are they called the McCoys? I think they're called not the McCoys. I can't remember. I'm thinking Hatfields and McCoys
Yeah.
is how it came to be. But these old cowboy characters, they come from old Marvel cowboy comics. They're going to be in play, and I can't remember their name. But I'm super excited to see how they come into play. And what happens to this group has nothing to do with the Ghost Cowboys, and really has nothing to do with the event in this book. That's not to say I didn't have a good time with it. There's quite a bit of 80s references in this, and for good reason. And they run into some old Marvel villains that I happen to like as villains. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a good showing. Does it affect War of the Realms, the mainline story? Not really. Have we seen the Ghost Cowboys reappear? Not yet. But next issue, and it's still pretty fun. So not too late to jump in. Next, we're going to talk about a book called She Could Fly. I went into this not having read the first one. I went into this not having read the other She Could Fly books. But this is super surreal. Let's put it that way. I'm not sure. Granted, the main character has mental health issues, okay? They reference her taking a lot of drugs and her dealing with the psychiatrist and them trying to identify what's going on with her. But it feels very Moon Knight-y. And not just normal Moon Knight, like the last run Moon Knight. Wild, weird, surreal stuff Her eyeballs are talking to her at one point. Yeah, all types of weird, creepy stuff is going on in this story. But it's a pretty good showing, and I want to know where this story's going. So I had a good time with this, even jumping in on the second book. And now, do I recommend you jump in on the second book? No, I think you could go pick up the first book. I still think we have copies of the first book, right? We might have 1 or 2 copies. But it's an interesting story. The art, I'm still sort of on the fence with. It's not... God, who is texting me like a mad person? Let me put my phone on silent. The art, I'm not entirely sold on the art. There's something about the style that is just sort of iffy to me. But... the writing is great. Yeah, so I'm going to give it 1 more issue before I fully call it. But right now, if I had to say, I would say this is a go buy. It's pretty good. Next is, it's so sad, Spider-Man and Deadpool 50.
Number 50.
This is the wrap-up to the run. And I feel oddly bad for the writer. So... Deadpool always gets kind of surreal, and in this one, the writer turns out, well, I can't really spoil it, but I think the writer hates himself, and I think it shows in this book.
I know one artist that doesn't have some self-loathing.
Right, but I actually felt kind of bad for him, and he made me feel kind of sad that his book is coming to an end. But there was a really funny exchange between all the Marvel writers and artists and editors. Like, they showed shots of them, like, doing stuff around the office, and I thought it was funny. Pretty good read. I would say go get this just because it's the last Spider-Man Deadpool, and, who knows when the bromance is going to restart. Yeah. But they made it to 50, which is a good showing. And, it's a pretty good time. I'm just so sad.
That's pretty good, man, for a monthly.
Yeah,
50,
made it to 50.
It's like a good wrap-up, tie-up.
The last book we're going to review of the week is... Well, I mean, I love this story. I haven't hit it. I really, really love Deadly Class. Granted, I think the TV show is a little bit weaker than the comic, a lot of bit weaker, but I'm really biased towards comics, obviously. However, this follows, pretty much the kids that are left alive from that first class. And, they've had tangles with gangs. They've been on the run. They did a bunch of peyote out in the desert in the last issue. And Marcus had a surreal vision and came to the conclusion that he had to return to King's Dominion. And this follows it, his return to King's Dominion. Now, if you don't know, Shabnam has taken over. Shabnam is the obese kid who everyone had written off as a failure. And it turns out he's just brutal at politics and, like, playing games and controlling. He's a puppet master. And Marcus has shed the skin of a rat, as they legitimately showed through hallucinations in the last comic. Shed the skin of a rat and became a snake. And the last comic, he legitimately said, go back to King's Dominion and be the best of them. And that's showing in this. He's brutal. And Maria, too, has changed and is equally as brutal. So it's a great, great showing for these characters. So Deadly Class, I honestly think this is a must-buy for the week. Deadly Class was on hiatus, so I don't know. You should go pick up the trades and read it if you haven't read it. But a good time to jump in. This is a great time to jump in on it. And that is all of our comics for the week. Are we going to give something away?
So we got some goodies as part of the drawing. This is from Lawrence Iriarte.
Lawrence Iriarte goodies?
Yes.
Okay.
So he's got these from Free Comic Book Day. So we still have one left of these.
We still have one Hulk sketch that was done on one of our bags. So instant collector's item. And then we've got some Spider-Man prints. Spider-Man Venom prints. Is that it?
No, and then we've got those Mother's Day things you want to show.
Mother's Day things? Here's another print.
Colorings. That we
Oh,
got.
we'll just hand those out, right? I
Yeah,
think so.
we'll just let people know that we got them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to show them?
Yeah, you want to show them?
Let me grab them.
There we go.
All right.
We, of course, have more posters to give
Whoa,
out.
I'm knocking stuff over on the counter. We have these sort of Mother's Day coloring book posters, I guess you could say. I think they're posters. But these are for kids. So if you're a youngin' and you want to make something for your mom or dad for Mother's Day, come pick up one of these. We've got a Marvel Rising one and a Marvel superhero adventures, or if you just want to color something, we've got those for you. Come pick them up, and they'll be in the store. We're going to do our drawing, though, really fast, and that's for a Lawrence Iriarte custom print, and we'll let you come pick. So, drawing from our subs. Les, you won last week. Do you know that?
No.
Yeah, one of our regulars in the store. You won a poster. So, we'll let you pick when we're done. So, yeah. 170.
All right, that's going to bring Mina Baldovino.
Mina Baldovino, you have won a custom print. 246.
246. That is going to be
Himanshu Parikh. Himanshu Parikh, you won. He's one of our new subs, too.
Yeah.
Really nice guy. Next is 25.
25. Keone Lee.
Our employee has won a custom print.
Maybe one more.
Maybe one more. 204.
204. All right.
Ileana Stevens, you won a custom print. So, as always, if you made it to the bottom of this video and you saw that you've won something, come inside or come into the store and we'll hook you up. And that's it. Do the dance.